212. Here we go. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time.
Welcome to Master the Science of Business, WMSB Radio, where mastering the science of business is our business, because we know it's our time to shine, bringing to you live successful business owners from around the world, sharing best and worst business practices so that you and I can avoid the pitfalls that may lead to failure and benefit from the wisdom of their success. It's our time to shine, y'all. MasterTheScienceOfBusiness.com. Welcome to another episode of Master the Science of Business, Mind and Money Matters live show. We are at the next to the last episode for the year 2018. Isn't that amazing? Like, it's absolutely awesome to follow into your path of passion and to bring forth light, life, and energy, inshallah, to our people so that we can avoid the pitfalls and benefit from the wisdom of those who are out there doing business. We have an action-packed show for you this evening. We are featuring or theming the Ministry of Defense. So representing the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, myself, Brother Jahi, and Sister Sandy represent the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, and we bring to you each and every month one of the 9 ministries, including for the 3 additional months, the Black Women in Business, Black Partnerships in Business, as well as the Finance Task Force. So we are so excited about what's about to take place this evening. Get your pen and pads ready, your thinking caps, and your action feet. You are going to be pushed to take action. So what we are going to do, Brother Jahi, I think I'm just going to go ahead and bring in our dear Brother Jahi, Mr. Communicator Muhammad. You know, we speak of him as our very own logo file. Sister Sandy gave him that name and we just adopted it because that's exactly who he is. A logo file is a lover of words. He is the founder and CEO of Proper Propaganda Promotions and Follow worldwide seminars and training. Brother Jahi, Mr. Communicator Muhammad, what is the Follow worldwide word on the block?
Assalamu alaikum, business scientists. What's the sound like? Is it coming through? Because I'm in a humongous...
Your mic sounds nice, check one.
Business scientists, welcome back to, as Sister Shireen mentioned, the next to last episode of Mind and Money Matters live show.
This is number 49, Brother Jahi.
49, inshallah, next week will be number 50. They will complete 3 whole years of producing Mind and Money Matters live show, 1 whole year in this visual platform. And we cannot thank each and every one of you enough that have tuned in at some point, that have been a guest on the show. We've had over 135 guests on Mind and Money Matters live show this year. Our theme is the definitive podcast for Black business bodaciousness, and all of you all have helped us to prove that. We've had some of the most dynamic guests and participants on the show this year. So thank all of you that have helped to do that. So as we get prepared for this broadcast, which again, I can't say this enough, you definitely want to do this tonight, and that is press that share button, call up.
You went out, Brother Jahi.
Those that like to learn, call them up, let them know. Back in October, we did the Ministry of Justice, and I said with that illustrious panel that we had then, that was the most erudite gathering of brothers and sisters that we had up until that point. And I'm going to label this show after knowing and listening to our panelists, it is the most astute panel that we have assembled yet. So that says a lot. Meaning, go and get your notepads, get something to write on. If you do the electronic thing, that's fine as well. But you want to take great notes this evening because our panelists are going to share a lot of dynamic information with us. That, as Sister Shireen said, the purpose of getting the information is not just to get it; it is to get it, and we began to do something with it. Our theme for 2019 is execution. We got to put these things into action. So, real quick, word on the block from Falah Worldwide, you know what it is. The Final Call newspaper, this issue, which is volume 38, number 12. Volume 38, number 12 issue of the Final Call newspaper, putting Christ back into Christmas, which is so appropriate because this is Christmas Eve. Tomorrow, the world or America will be celebrating Christmas. And our goal is to put Christ, the one who crushes wickedness, back into Christmas. And of all my articles, the article by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad on page 19, always a must read. The article by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on page 20 and 21, a must read. The article by Minister Jabril, a must read. And also for your perusal, for your reading, you must read page 17 in this issue of the Final Call newspaper. Page 17, there is a wonderful, very well written, very well studied and researched article by our guest, one of our guests this evening, Brother Jackie Muhammad. It's a memo to Alan Dershowitz, number 3. He is, y'all like a fight. He is going in on Alan Dershowitz, the one who is putting all kind of false claims out against our beloved minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and those of us who are under his divine guidance. But Brother Jackie is bringing it to him, taking it straight to the grill, as we say. So you must read that article. It will increase your vocabulary by 300% and increase your knowledge base astronomically. So Final Call, get your issue, finalcalldigital.com for our millennials and those of us who like the electronic aspect, just like Sister Shireen is showing. She has a subscription to Final Call, so she's on finalcalldigital.com, and you can read it very similar to having the paper in your hands. Or in the Atlanta metropolitan area, you can go to Cafe Ulu on Sylvan Road in Southwest Atlanta and invest in your copy of the Final Call newspaper and stop by and get you a cup of hibiscus ginger tea with the shot of mango. That's called the Jahi Special. Just tell Brother Ken that you want the Jahi Special. He knows exactly what you're looking for. It is a black-owned co-op. There's over 471 of us that have pooled our resources in order to make these types of ventures happen. And we at Master the Science of Business are members of that particular co-op. So we own a piece of that establishment. Or if you're on the east side of Atlanta in Lithonia or near the Lithonia metropolitan area, you can go to Black Dot Cultural Center, Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore on Main Street, and get your latest issue of the Final Call newspaper. And if you're in the Bluff area, you can always stop by Blue Seas Express on Joseph Boone Boulevard and get your copy of the Final Call newspaper, or you will see a brother or sister under the divine guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In any meeting that you go to that there's black people, we are there, and we have copies of the Final Call newspaper on us, so you can secure that with any of the brothers and sisters, the FOI and the MGT that you see at any gathering that you go to. Number 2, economicblueprint.org. A lot of you all maybe just came in from shopping, doing your Christmas shopping. Go ahead on your phone, type in economicblueprint.org and make your 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month contribution to economicblueprint.com. 16 million of us do that in a year's time. That will give us 291,200,000 that we can use to invest and for resources for ourselves, buying land that can produce those things that we need in order to be a sustainable and viable nation. Only 5 cents a day. Economicblueprint.org. Also, we know that, and put this on your calendar, begin to make your arrangements. Savior's Day 2019. Savior's Day. That is the culminating event in Black History Month. It will be February the 15th through the 17th in Chicago, Illinois. We are hoping and expecting to hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on that Sunday, February the 17th. Friday the 15th and Saturday the 16th, there are a plethora of workshops and activities that everyone can be involved in. So please mark your calendars for that. Chicago, Illinois, February 15th through 17th. For more information, you can go to NOI.org. And now, when we get back from Savior's Day, the following week, right here in Atlanta, another, for those of you, this is a business-oriented platform. Mind and Money Matters Live show. So on February the 22nd, we will be participating with an event called A Capitalist Conversation. A Capitalist Conversation. You can go to capitalistconversations.com to get more information, but it will be here in Atlanta on February 22nd at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. And what makes this one so powerful for those entrepreneurs and budding business owners, you get a chance to interact with actual Black business millionaires, brothers and sisters that have put their idea into motion and made a viable business, sustaining business where they employ hundreds of people. They establish businesses and sell them and do other business. And the main speaker for that event is the actionaire, Dr. Mike Roberts of the Roberts Companies. He and his brother are legendary and noted real live figures that you will be able to talk to, not just hear them from a stage platform and then they jet out. No, you'll be able to ask questions, interact on getting that information that you and I want in order to take our businesses from the level that it is to the next stage of development. Where else will you be able to sit down and actually have a conversation with Black business millionaires right there at your fingertips? So put that on your calendar for February the 22nd. And as I wrap up, for those of you in the Atlanta area, on tomorrow, Christmas Day, from 10 o'clock a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m., we will be at Georgia World Congress Center. And I just got a text, somebody asking about it. We will be at the Georgia World Congress Center for the 48th Christmas Day dinner by Hosea Feed the Hungry. The 48th Christmas dinner. If you know people that are in need, you know people that are looking for resources to help them find jobs, to find housing, they're looking for a warm meal, they need clothing, all those services that that we as humans need, please bring them to Georgia World Congress Center, downtown Atlanta, or let them know that this is going on. All of the services are free. We will feed over 7,000 people tomorrow. Not just feed, but service with free haircuts. The ladies will get free hair care services, free clothing, free meals, free medical attention, checkups, and a plethora of services will be available. So yes, we will be here at the Georgia World Congress Center. I don't know the address, just put in Georgia World Congress Center in your GPS and it will bring you
What?
to downtown.
Did I say Brother Jahi was the human GPS? He is the human GPS, knows how to get anywhere on the planet. What? You don't know the address, Brother Jahi?
I don't know the address. I don't know addresses. I know where it is.
I am surprised.
I can tell
Okay,
you
but
how
I
to
guess he
get
can
here.
tell you.
It's
He can tell you the
behind.
landmarks. He can tell you the land. You can tell them the
Oh, the
landmarks.
landmark next door to the brand new 1.5 billion dollar Mercedes-Benz Stadium is right next door. We're right next door to there, or behind the State Farm Arena, formerly Phillips Arena. And for those of you who are old school Atlanta, formerly the Omni, y'all remember you got to be real. You have to be in there a long time to know that. So that is the word on the block from Falah Worldwide, and I'm just so ready to get into today's program. And I see we have our our traveling guest co-host, Sister Sandy Buford Muhammad, uh,
She's not a
of
guest. She's
the
a co-host.
Your
She's just
Life
on the
Center
road.
and
She's enjoying
Soul
family
Wisdom
time.
International that is traveling, but she has taken the time out of her schedule to join us this evening on Mind and Money Matters live show. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Sandy.
She, she, she's muted.
Oh my God, y'all make me feel so bad sometimes. I Let me share.
And then
We,
her sound is going in.
some of us have. Say it again, Sister
Go
Sheree.
ahead. No, go ahead. Your sound was going in and out, but go ahead because I know you're traveling.
Yes, please forgive me. Yes, I am your sister Sandy Buford Muhammad. Oh wow, I love our guests that we have.
Okay, she went out. She's traveling, but you can see she is representing Soul Wisdom International, building the human spirit through the mind of your business. You coming back? Are you back?
So yeah, go ahead and do it for me because the signal is really bad.
Yes, ma'am. So she's enjoying family. We know we do take advantage of this opportunity when our children are out of school to take them on trips, go on the road. She does mining. She is just amazing. She does amazing things out in the community. She has an event coming up next weekend. Text me the information, Sister Sandy, or have someone, your daughter, text me the information so I can make sure I give that out because I know you have an event coming up this weekend. Is that Heaven and Me Spa? Is that what's happening this weekend? Coming up on the 29th, I believe. Just text it to me so I have that information. But again, Sister Sandy is building a human spirit through the mind of your business with Soul Wisdom International. She can be reached at 404-541-0889. And I can see your face is frozen. So that's the bandwidth that's happening there. So, Brother Jahir, you can carry on.
All right. It is that time of the year going to visit family. Inshallah, I will be in the motherland next week, Mississippi, next week, traveling as well. So we understand exactly. We just pray that they make it to their destination safely. So it is my honor also to bring up my business partner and co-host of Mind and Money Matters. And you know her as the most prolific children's book author in the country. She is the creator of the Agri Children children's book series. So all of you parents and uncles and aunts and neighbors and grandparents, or any of you that know children, you definitely want to get invest in the Agri Children book series for those children that you know to begin to get them acclimated to the world of entrepreneurship and the world of business. She's a mother, grandmother, a educator, a business owner, businesses owner. I had to make pluralize if that's a word. Is it pluralize a word? Make the word plural. She's the producer of the show. She's the writer of the show. She's the what else? The designer of those dynamic flyers that you see. In addition to a plethora of community activities. Oh, and you're able to see her in action tomorrow if you decide to come to the Hosea Helps Christmas Day dinner event. She will be talking to a group of children tomorrow at this auspicious event. So you want to make your way down to experience that. They love her. They crowd around her and don't want to let her go after she makes her presentation. But We bring to you none other than Sister Shireen Muhammad. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much. And I want to just run through this. Want to make sure that we have on our calendar the event of the guests that we had on last week, Brother Joe Steve Muhammad, for more information for his 50th anniversary event that's coming up, put on by his family and those who love and appreciate him for his plethora of works for 50 years plus. You know, he was on last week. He's 81 years old. Praise be to Allah. And he looks absolutely fabulous. You can contact them at 803-761-7398. That's 803-761-7398. And then I would like to just let you know about Master the Science of Business, Mind and Money Matters live show, that will begin a new year, a new calendar, following the schedule that you see. In January, we'll deal with the Ministry of Information, then agriculture, and so on. So we're looking so forward to bringing you yet another year of elevated consciousness, thoughts from those who are experiencing business and can give to us scientific tips of what works, what don't work, what doesn't work, and things of that nature. I wanted to leave us with message to the Black man. I had the pleasure of speaking with one of the brothers that's going to be on the show today, and he just recited it. I'm going to read it. He recited the definition provided by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Message to the Black Man, on page 41, what is knowledge? And he says, one of the attributes of Allah, the all-wise God, who is the supreme being, is knowledge. Knowledge is the result of learning and is a force or energy that makes its bearer accomplish or overcome obstacles, barriers, and resistance. In fact, God means possessor of power and force. The education my people need is that knowledge, the attribute of God, which creates power to accomplish and make progress in the good things or the righteous things. We have tried other means and ways and have failed. We have failed. Why not try Islam? It is our only salvation. It is the religion of Allah, his prophets, and our forefathers. Praise be to Allah. That's page 41, Message to the Black Man. Read it, study it, and put it into practice. That is it for me today, Brother Jahi, or praises due to Allah. I am ready to get into the Ministry of Defense.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, the Ministry of Defense. This is the month that Master Science of Businesses, Mind and Money Matters live show. We've dedicated the month of December to feature the Ministry of Defense. Every month, as most of you all know, we feature one of the 9 ministries that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan advanced to us in 2005 at the Millions More movement. So again, going to the book, Message to the Black Man Message to the Black Man in America by Elijah Muhammad. On page 40, it reads, and you've heard us say this several times because Sister Shireen opens up every show, the last 147 shows that we produced. She has opened up by recalling what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. So it's on page 40. You can reference it. I recall in 1922 or 1923 when a debate was taking place in Congress concerning appropriation of funds for Howard University, a school set aside to train my people in the nation's capital. A senator said this, and it is in the records to be examined in effect. What would be the need of the government appropriating money to educate Negroes? He said that they would not teach our people the science of modern warfare, which is defense, birth control, or chemistry. He knew these were things free people must know in order to protect, preserve, and advance themselves. We have not been able to protect, preserve, and advance ourselves. This shows the slave master has been very successful in dominating us with an education beneficial to him. There is a saying among us, mother may have, father may have, but God blesses the child who has its own. It is time we had our own. So I think that is the most appropriate prelude to introduce our. He didn't know this until now. I'm saying it. He's going to sit in the chair of our special guest co-host this evening. He is a brother that I've had the opportunity to admire from a distance for years. And then within like the last 10 or 12 years, had the opportunity to do a couple of projects with him, get to know him a lot more. He's one that is a businessman in our midst, a very successful businessman in our midst, as well as a dynamic researcher that don't mind sharing information to help us go from one level of our development to the next level. I mean, I have wonderful time just calling him up and getting information. His article is the article that I pointed out on page 17 in the latest issue of the Final Call newspaper, where he is really got the devil on the run. So you have to read this. This brother used a word in a sentence that 99% of us have never heard of before. The word abstemious. Abstemious. So, as I said, this show is compiled of some of the most astute brothers and sisters that I have had the pleasure of being around. So, please help me welcome Brother Jackie Muhammad.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. There we go.
There you go.
There he is. Okay, brother Jackie, you gotta turn your phone.
Okay, can you hear me?
We hear you
but we
just
need
fine.
you to turn your phone.
You're sideways.
Sideways for us. There you go.
Is that better?
Okay, that'll work. That will work.
That will work. That will
Okay.
work.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for on behalf of Master the Science of Business, my co-partners, Sister Shireen and Sister Sandy, and our director of social media, Sister Anissa. We want to thank you for taking the time. I've been begging you for a long time to be a guest on this show, and I'm glad. I'm so honored that you found the time in your schedule to be with us. We're looking forward to it. And one of the reasons why I put you in the seat as our special guest co-host, so that you can help us introduce our other panelists who are your colleagues in the research department. But this is an interesting thing, Brother Jackie. All of them have been guests on the show before. So you're actually the newest family member to Mind and Money Matters live show. So first question I have for you is, where in the world did you learn how to research and write the way that you do?
Well, first of all, brother and sister, I want to really thank you all. I am really pleased and proud to be a part of such a program. I know, Brother Jahi, you've been trying to get me on the program for some time. And I've always used the excuse that my schedule is heavy, and it really is. But I couldn't refuse this time because my brothers are on here with me.
Yes,
okay?
sir.
Now,
Peer pressure. That's a true definition of peer pressure.
Yes. Now, in terms of your question, when I first came into the nation, I was 16 years old.
Wow, really?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was 16 years old. And the teachings always fascinated me. But one of the issues that I had concerning the teachings was that the way my mind works, you just can't tell me something. You have to prove it to me. You have to let me know where your information comes from. So when I first started studying the teachings and we were taught that God is a man, well, how do you prove that? We were taught about the mothership. How do you prove that? You were taught that the white man is the devil. How do you prove that? It's one thing to say it to me, but it's another thing for me to be able to prove it. So my research as a young Muslim started when I first came into the nation. And as a result of going after the information, I learned so much more about the messenger. Because here you have a man who completed the 3rd grade and was able to espouse such wisdom. The sister read a definition of the word knowledge. When I first saw that in Message to the Black Man, it fascinated me. The definition the messenger gave was knowledge is the root of learning. It is a force or energy that makes its bearer overcome all obstacles and resistance. It is an attribute of God. So I looked at that.
Yes,
I
sir.
said, wow, you're telling me that if I study these teachings, I will begin to learn the true attributes of God. So for me, research has always been a means for me to get closer to the messenger's teachings and to get closer to God himself.
Wonderful. And I want to thank you because in reading, uh, when I came into the nation, one of my favorite articles was 1155 by Minister Abdullah
That's right.
Muhammad,
Mine too.
who
Mine,
is
that
the
was mine too.
father of Sister Sandy Buford Muhammad.
Oh, really?
So yes, yes. So um, I mean, I learned so it expands your mind. Then Minister Jabril's articles, and now reading your article. So that what you embarked upon, and that we as a whole, when we embark upon this pursuit of knowledge, and we're able and willing to share it, look at the impact that it has on so many other people that we may not ever get chance to personally meet, but they are looking at the results of what it is that our curiosity. So I want to commend you for
Thank
making that move. So you, as you say, you're the way your mind works. You had to and need to know more what's behind it. And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sparks in us. That's actually true education to bring out of us. So you took that and then you parlayed it into, was there a college background? Was there, because I know you've had a history. I hope you don't mind me sharing this,
you.
but you've been able to go places within this government that sometimes we see it could be stifled, but you've been able to maneuver through it.
Well,
That's part of defense. How did you do that?
let me respond to what you said about Brother Jabril. If I am honest, I would have to say that if I patterned myself as a so-called researcher, as a so-called scholar, it was after reading the study guides of Brother Jabril. Now, this goes back many, many years. Okay, Jabril started the first series of study guides. And the
Wow,
way in
never
which
knew
he,
that.
oh yeah, the way he laid it out, he made you think. He forced you to not just accept something on a surface basis. And it was Jabril study guides. Now, prior to that, once I was in the nation and I started studying, um, I had a chance to go to college. And my college professor's teachings contradicted the
Mm.
teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Uh-oh. All
So
right.
here I jump into, I call myself a history major. And I'm going into my history class. I went to a college that had 25,000 white students and about 500 blacks. So when you
Wow.
got in there, you just
Wow.
couldn't run off with the mouth. You had to prove yourself. So my examples were people like Joel A. Rogers, better known as J.A. Rogers. My examples were some of the historians that my professors didn't know anything about. So I come in with the messenger's teachings, challenging them in their class.
All right. All
And now
right.
they here looking at me as some smart aspirin. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
And then I
Absolutely.
came in with an A average, and all of a sudden they start challenging me. So I'm fighting back. I'm all of 18 years old. These boys have been at their professions for years. And as I'm challenging them, they're getting upset with me. So now my grades drop. So now I'm challenging them by taking them to the Committee on Scholastic Standards to let them know that this boy is trying to really um, challenge me. Okay. And only come to find out you got a room full of Jewish people, highly educated Jewish professors who are now siding with their boy who I am reporting on. And so I'm saying, this is a doggone fix. So I left all of that alone and just continued with my studies. And I did most of it by independent study. I didn't bother going to classes. And then I started traveling overseas to study the teachings.
Wow.
I learned about the Moors in Spain. So I went to Spain and I studied in Spain. So make a long story short, I took the messenger's teachings and I challenged it all over the world. I did it in England. I did it in Spain and other places. But I had this yearning for learning, but to prove the messenger's teachings 100% right.
Wow. So you took it abroad. That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah, that is absolutely fascinating. Now, let me ask you this. I know you are a businessman. If you don't mind, you can share would you mind sharing with us some of the businesses that you are in or have been in? But I want to, part of the reason I'm asking that is to tie in your knowledge and history in business, your position on the Nation of Islam's research team, and the Ministry of Defense. Because I know some may be thinking, okay, what does research have to do with defense? So often we look at defense as the physical fight, which is, in my humble opinion, an aspect of defense. But defense actually encompasses more than just the physical. So what is your perspective on tying all those in together?
Well, let me say this. One of the greatest scholars in Islam was a Muslim soldier by the name of Saluddin. Okay.
Yes.
He knew how to
Yes.
wield, he knew how
Yes.
to wield a
Yes.
sword, and he knew how to wield a pen.
That's
Okay.
right.
So we
That's
have
right.
taken up the pen as our sword to defend our teachings.
Y'all doing a great
Okay.
job too. Wow.
And one of the things that people don't realize about the Nation of Islam is that when you ask, well, what is the Nation of Islam? The Nation of Islam, among many things, is a house of knowledge.
That's
Okay.
right.
So we have taken the pen, inspired by the teachings of the messenger and the minister, and we will challenge anybody who walks on 2 feet and who breathes polluted air. Okay. We will challenge them on any aspects of these teachings. And while I'm on that subject, before one of my brothers get on, I want to commend Brother Demetric Muhammad,
Yes.
because he has an article in the current edition
Yes. Yes.
of
Yes.
the Final Call,
Yes.
in
I
which
was just looking at that. Yes.
in which the minister, nobody takes the minister's space in the Final Call. That's his, lock, stock, and barrel. The minister removed himself from that position for this week, and he gave that lofty position to our brother Demetric Muhammad. So I want to commend him, because I'll tell you how I got into his article. I'm sleeping, and my wife wakes me up like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and she said, "Have you read Brother Demetric's article?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She was on the phone. She was on the phone with Sister Samia, who runs the University of Islam in Atlanta. At 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, they're reading his article. Now, mind you, I've got an article in the paper too. I don't get awakened at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to talk about my article. I'm saying, look, girl, let me get some sleep here. But she wanted to talk about the article. And so I really commend Brother Demetric for what he did in that article that moved the minister so much that the minister put his article on hold to get Brother Demetric's article in there.
Wow. Sister Shireen, and Sister Sandy, we have wow, I don't even know the word for the assembly that we have here tonight. So we got Brother Jackie, who has an article in called. Then we have Brother, she's saying something.
Sound like she's in a tunnel, right?
Right. Then we have Brother Ilya Rashad, who has one of the hottest videos out on is it YouTube or on Facebook on his and we're about to bring him up because he sent it. I was fortunate to be one of the first ones that he sent it to. And I'm like, man, this is fire. Now that thing has gone viral. So once you all see it, we want you to help spread it. So we have Brother Ilya Rashad, who is a public educator, author, researcher, and student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In both theological and academic arenas, he is both lauded and feared for bringing controversial subject matters to the forefront of public discourse. Look at the word usage that the brother uses. Along with being proactive in urban agriculture and beekeeping, he has also authored several highly acclaimed books, including UFOs and the Nation of Islam, The Source, Proof, and Reality of the Will, and that which came out in 2013. And his latest one is Exposing the War Against Islam. His research continues to challenge and confound world scholars regarding these global issues. And as I mentioned to Brother Ilya on our pre-show meeting yesterday, he does have one of the distinctions of being one of our most frequent guests. He has appeared, this will be his fourth appearance, I believe it is, on Mind and Money Matters live show. I had the pleasure of meeting him. We, Brother Jackie, we used to do a conference at Rust College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, the National African American Student Leadership Conference.
The motherland.
Yes, in the motherland. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I met Brother Ilya there about 18 years ago.
Wow.
Did a program there, or subsequently became a committee member. But every year we would meet up at that particular conference. So I'm honored to call him a brother and a friend. Please help welcome to Mind and Money Matters live show, Brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad.
No, I don't see him. Do you? Yeah, I don't see he or Demetric.
All right, so we
do have Dr. Ridgely.
Okay, okay, gotcha. So I am definitely honored to introduce our Farm Nation of Islam farm manager. He and his wife, Sister Ann, are providing us with substance on that 1,556 acres, I believe it is, that's in South Georgia. And he is calling in, brothers and sisters. He had to call in because there's some issues going on down that way, and he wasn't able to get out from the farmland to get to civilization where he could get internet service. But look, an FOI meet and overcome all
That's right.
in his path. And
Absolutely.
he is definitely that. He is an agricultural economist by training, several degrees, and he is affectionately known as Doc. Dr. Ridgely Muhammad of Muhammad Farms. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. Can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear, brother.
Well, praise be to Allah. Yes, and as you know, I'm in Facebook jail, and the reason I'm in Facebook jail is because I mentioned on my Facebook page the secret relationship between blacks and you know who when I can't say Jew. And I say this because David, when he went to slay Goliath, David had 5 smooth stones, but he only used one. Myself, Brother Jackie, and Brother Ilya, and Brother Dimitri, you know, we all have articles and books. I have about 5. But, I sent it to the minister, but the minister chose one of the works that we as a group were working on to use as his weapon of choice. And that is the secret relationship between blacks and Jews series. And people need to get those books, and I'm going to give a little history of how those books came about. It was because when Minister Farrakhan went to defend Jesse Jackson, who was being threatened by the Jews, they attacked Minister Farrakhan. Mr. Farrakhan didn't attack the Jews attacked Minister Farrakhan. Then some of us who loved Minister Farrakhan, as a matter of fact, in 1985, they came in outside of Madison Square Garden and said, Who do we want? Farrakhan. How do we want him dead? These are the Jews. Some of the Jews. Some of the Jews. Not all Jews, just some of the Jews. But these are the leaders. And they put a hit out on him. So we said, why did they hate Farrakhan? Farrakhan didn't attack them. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that those who live in glass houses should not throw bricks. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said these people who call themselves Jews, they were involved in the slave trade. See, they try to act like they're our friends. He said they were, as a matter of fact, it's in their own Jewish encyclopedia. Now, I ain't never heard of Jewish encyclopedia. Okay? And so some of us start studying, and then that began to lead us down a path of going to their libraries, and digging up what they had hid from the public, but they share amongst themselves, because a thief has got to know what the truth is so he can cover his tracks. So we went into their libraries and started putting together the history of them in the slave trade, and then after the slave trade with sharecropping, etc., even to how Judah P. Benjamin, even they developed the KKK. After the Civil War, it was the Jews who developed and paid for the KKK. Mm. So anyway, so this material that's in these books come from the Jewish scholars, the Jewish writers, the Jewish rabbis. So that as we bring this hidden truth out, people couldn't say, the Jews could not say that we were anti-Semitic, because we actually use their authors. As the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, we will denounce this book if you will denounce those who we quote in the book. Okay? So he said, when you throw them away, then we throw the book away. They ain't throw them away, and we done put up 2 more books since the first one, okay? Because it's more and more and more, and it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper to where we found the synagogue of Satan and wasn't looking for it.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we get off, I'm gonna show you why they don't want you to read that book. Why they took me off Facebook, because I was promoting. I'm just gonna show you some things that I learned from reading The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. I'm gonna tell you one more thing before I do that. I learned how to set up the Stable Goods Project from studying the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, and saw how the Jews set up their economy in America as they were taking the black economy down. But anyway, something I did know, I got a PhD, I went to prep school and all that crap. Jews entered America through Charleston, South Carolina, not New York City. I always thought the Jews moved from the north down south later on when it was safe for them. No. They came in Charleston, South Carolina in the 1700s, bringing slaves with them. And the reason they was coming to America is because the Jews had control of the cotton industry, clothing and linen in Europe. But they were getting their cotton from Egypt and India, and Egypt and India wasn't going to give it away. And so they found out about the Mississippi Delta, the second richest piece of land in the world. The first richest is the Delta of Egypt, where they were growing the cotton in Egypt. So they came and killed 100 million people. PBS said now there's 100 million Native Americans that lived in America before the white man came. They killed them with smallpox and other diseases. Then they came over here to grow the cotton so that then they could sell that cotton, turn it into cloth, and take it back to Europe. And that's when I learned that the farm in Georgia, instead of selling raw product, we should do like the Jews. First, we need to find a market for the value-added product. Okay? So we don't grow wheat anymore. We grow whole wheat flour. We grow cream of whole wheat because we have a mill on the farm that turns the raw product into a value-added product, and we distribute it directly to the consumer through the Staple Goods Project. We learned that from reading The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, in particular, how the Jews set up their economy based on Outback and the Mississippi Delta. Okay, Jews, they didn't run no trucks, ships empty. So they came with slaves from Africa over to America to grow cotton. Then they put the cotton on the boat and took the cotton up to England and New England and England, where they produced liquor and guns. Then they brought the liquor and guns into Africa to start wars and to get them drunk, then steal slaves, then bring the slaves back over to the West, to America and South America, to grow cotton, and then start all over again. Then the cotton goes to England, then produce guns and liquor, and they goes to Africa. So the ships are full all the way around. They was making money all the way around. So therefore, we learned that if you want to have a nation, we just can't run, say, the trucks from Chicago with the final call newspaper down south. We down south has got to produce a product to send back up north to Chicago. Okay? That's how the Jews did it. We learned this. This is just a business. I don't believe Muhammad said, study the white man, he is successful. But the so-called Jew is the best, most successful of the white folk. So the secret relationship allows us to get into their minds and their business habits so that we can learn how to establish our own. And then on top of that, they use us as a scapegoat. I get all this from a secret relationship. They use us as a scapegoat to get the Gentile white brothers off their back because they was on their back in Europe. That's why they came to America too, because white folks over there, the Gentiles got tired of them ripping them off with usury. You know, usury, talking about in charge of interest on that debt, like they do with America now. They came and got the money supply now. America got on $26 trillion, whereas before the Federal Reserve, they only own $3 billion. Now they own $26 trillion. So anyway, I digress. Then they set up, after slavery, they set up what's called the black codes to the law system. Black codes like this: blacks could not be employed in any job other than plantation labor without a specific license granted by a judge, and the employer had to be white. All blacks had to make binding one-year contracts with planters within the first 10 days of January, after which written permission was required if blacks wanted to leave the property. Blacks were forbidden to sell farm products like flour, cotton, hay, rice, peas, wheat, etc., without the written permission from a white man, thus disallowing black agribusiness and eliminating their black competition. Now, these are just some of the black codes that you will find in the Secret Relationship in Blacks and Jews Volume 2. There's about 15 of them. So they made laws to prohibit us from competing with them, and then they turn around and blame us for not having business. So we done found a hypocrite who we thought was our friend, and they were so wicked. Let me say the most wicked I found in the secret relationship. And when I tell people about this, it blows their mind. You know W.E.B. Du Bois?
Yes, go ahead.
You know what sold to black folk?
Yes.
1903?
Yes, sir.
In that book, Du Bois came down to Dougherty County and Terrell County, where the farm is at. It's in Terrell County, right next to Dougherty County. He came and studied these two counties, and that's the basis of souls of black folk.
Wow.
When he studied these, he found out that in Albany, Georgia, in Dougherty County, Albany, Georgia is the capital of Dougherty County, there were 9 out of 10 all the storekeepers were Jewish. Now, when I came down here in 1995 to run the farm and went down to downtown Albany, in the middle of downtown Albany was a Jewish synagogue. That blew my mind. I thought the Jews were afraid of the South, like blacks were afraid of the South, and like blacks up north, they scared to come back down to the South. I thought the Jews were afraid of the South. Hell, the Jews had a synagogue in the middle of town because they owned this sucker. The Jews owned this sucker, and in fact, W.E.B. Du Bois put in his book that after the Civil War, the Jews were the heirs, the H-E-I-R, the heirs to the heirs to the slave plantations, the plantations. The Jews, because the white boys owed them debt, they took the plantations, ran the plantations, and put us in there sharecropping for them. But then W.E.B. Du Bois, working for the Crisis magazine in NAACP, because Du Bois was never on the board. He was never the president. He was never on the board of NAACP. They had white folks and Jews on the board of NAACP until the 1970s. But anyway.
That's right. I think it was 1975 before the
Before
NAACP
then,
first black.
all white boys and Jews.
Yes, sir.
But check this out. In 1952, when Du Bois put his book back out, the second edition, some Jews convinced him to remove the word Jew and just put in immigrant.
Immigrant.
Immigrants, not Jewish immigrants, just immigrants. So by the changing of one word in the book, they hid themselves and made us think we were their friends, when in fact they were the main reason that we were in slavery. They're the ones who financed the whole thing. They're the ones that even financed the Civil War on both sides, playing double jeopardy, controlling both sides of the war.
Right.
And yet they tried to act like they was our friend and got us bogged down in integration where we lost all our businesses. Those are the Jews. They're the ones who befriended us and said we need to sit down next to white folk. We didn't want to sit down next to white folk. I can prove that. You too old, you too young. I remember what happened in the 70s.
Right.
In the 70s, they set up forced busing. Why? Because the black students did not want to go to the white high schools.
Right.
So they set up forced busing to bus us to the white high school because we didn't want to go. Okay? And the white folks didn't want us. So what the Jews did is got us in a fight with the Southern Cracker. While they was making money off both of us, destroying our businesses, our black-owned businesses in the segregated side of town, ran highways through all of that, so everybody can go to the mall. Black and white go to the mall, which they control. And you know, Neiman Marcus, you ever heard of Neiman Marcus?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Do you know where they started at?
No.
In the
Alabama.
South. Yeah. They started in the South.
Yeah. Most of your major banks and department stores started in the South, and then they spread up north. I thought it was the other way.
Other way around. Right. Right. So these are the things that
What
comes
this
out.
book does, it blows your mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I'm going to close on this. I'm going to close with Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about history. He said, of all our studies,
That's right.
is the most attractive and best qualified to reward our research as it develops the springs and motives of human actions and displays the consequences of circumstances which operates most powerfully on the destinies of human beings. The wise man is the one who has made a careful study of the past events of ancient and modern history. The knowledge of the future is judged by the knowledge of the past. So this is why Facebook took me off. I'm in jail for 7 days because I promoted the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. So we're telling all your audience, get number 1, number 2, number 3, read it over again. Don't read it to beat up on the Jews. Read it to understand how they operate. It's nation time now. We got to learn from the best so we can be the best. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much. You know, brother Dr. Ridgely, one of the things you brought out was something that I was reading earlier today in this book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2. And it talks about, you mentioned the scapegoat, that how the Jew put the black man as the scapegoat to absorb what attacks would be coming at him to be coming at the black man. And so in this book there's a section dealing with that,
Yes.
but I can read just to quote what it says, that after the war and Reconstruction, and this is a quote from Leon Harris. Leon Harris discusses the remarkable rise of Jewish-owned department stores in the South, which you just mentioned, like Neiman Marcus and Rich's, and reasons that after the war and Reconstruction, the exploitation and consequent hatred of the niggers on the part of many Southern whites diverted much of the hostility that might otherwise have been directed at Jews. Another place it says, for decades, American blacks had served as a kind of buffer for American Jews, so long as native hatreds were taken out primarily on blacks, they were less likely to be taken out on Jews. And these are quotes from Jewish scholars. Then we have another where it says, and these scholars find confirmation in the folk wisdom of the rank and file. My grandmother used to say, quote, affirmed a woman from a prominent Southern Jewish family, quote, too long it was us. Now it is them, or it is their, no, pardon me. Too long it was us. Now it is their turn, meaning Black folks. Better it should be that way. End quote. A Jewish peddler traveling in the South asked, it is so bad that they should hate someone else, the Black man, for a change. Let them, let them. It keeps them too busy to bother with us. So they put the Black man in the place of themselves. And they constantly do that, spending billions and trillions of dollars, making us appear as the menaces to society, so that the world would say, oh, yes, they deserve that treatment, but those
That's right.
conditions are actually created to produce some of the behavior that we have. Brother Jahid, Brother Iliad is now on. So I'm going to...
Yeah, and one of the things when you bring Brother Iliad on, the NAACP was set up by Jews.
Absolutely.
And, most people say, well, it was set up by the 29 men who set up the Niagara movement. No, there was only one man from the Niagara movement that the Jews brought over into the NAACP, and that was W.B. Du Bois. But the principles behind the NAACP is a principle called non-economic liberalism. That is that the Jews would not go teach the Black man how to make no money, because money is his God and economics is his religion. So they wouldn't go teach the Black man how to make no money. So they had us to hold hands and come by Yah while they drained both the Black and the white.
Right.
It's all right there in the secret relationship between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2. Now, in Volume 3, it gets worse. In Volume 3,
yes, sir,
they use the death of a one white man who was lynched after he was proven guilty of raping a Gentile white girl, and he tried to blame it on the Black man. He tried to blame it on the Black man, but the Black man testified so clearly against the white man that even though at that time in 1912 it was against the law to accept the testimony of a Black man against a white man, but the jurors accepted that and freed the Black man, and was going to put the white boy, hang him, but then he got his trial commuted. And what happened was they did a what they call an appeal. The Jewish bankers and leaders and rabbis from the north, 3 of them, Jacob Schiff, a guy named Joseph Wise, and Louis Marshall. They sat on the board of the NAACP in New York City in 1913, and then used their money to try to get the white boy off in Atlanta who killed this white girl, and they tried to blame it on the Black man. They sent money to the lawyer down in Atlanta and told the lawyer in Atlanta to go to the judge and tell the judge that it was illegal to accept the testimony of a Negro against a white man. And when the judge in the court accepted the testimony of the Negro over the white man, these same Jews who sat on the board of the NAACP in New York, they said that the only reason they accepted the testimony of a Negro over a white man was because that white man was Jewish.
Exactly. And so with the point that you bringing out, Dr. Ridgely, is the reason why, they use us as the buffer. But we your brothers are also on the line, so we want to make sure we get them in. It's 7:12. So we want to make sure we get them in. Brother Jahid, Brother Rashad is on. You can introduce him.
All the way from Memphis, Tennessee.
Did we read about Memphis in here? I hope you all are inspired to get this book, y'all. Volumes 1, 2, and 3. I have one here. I only have 2 of them at my right here where I could just hang them up here. Get your book, right? Not only get it, but read them so you can be inspired and you can understand what we're talking about, because we can't explain it all in an hour and a half. You have to get the book and read it. And then you could be lifted and excited to do for self like I am. Go ahead, Brother Jahi.
Author, researcher, student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In both theological and academic arenas, he is known and lauded and feared for bringing controversial subject matters to the forefront of public discourse, along with being proactive in urban agriculture and beekeeping. A black beekeeper, y'all.
Hmm.
He has also authored several highly acclaimed books, including UFOs and the Nation of Islam. He also has a Facebook page called UFOs and the Nation of Islam. You can check him out on there. Uh, the subtitle, The Source, the Proof, and Reality of the Wheels, which came out in 2013, and Exposing the War Against Islam, 2017. His research continues to challenge and confound world scholars regarding these global issues, and he has a video that's out now that is going viral. It is absolutely dynamic. He does been doing a great job in producing his vlogs, video logging, and this latest one is absolutely.
Where can I find that, Brother Jahi, while he comes up?
You can go on to Facebook and go to UFOs and the Nation of Islam Facebook page. And
it's on Nation Brothers page too, Facebook page as well.
Right, that's what I shared. Okay, you have to remind me. It's good to see you, brother.
Likewise. I'm super happy to be here. It's especially with such a magnificent intro that Brother Jahi was giving.
What's that? What'd you say?
Especially with that magnificent intro that you were giving.
I am honored. As I mentioned to you yesterday, that you have the distinction, you and Dr. Ridgely, of being two of our most visited guests. Yes, this is, I think, your fourth appearance on Mind and Money Matters live show, and we're honored. As I mentioned also, you and I met almost 20 years ago. Yes. Brother, time flies. Yes. You look exactly the same as you did.
Oh, wow.
In that
I
class.
got a few sprinkles over here now. You know, they come on in.
You just wasted some on your head. That's I got a little less hair than I had back then. I think I had pro at the time, but we met at Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, at the National African American Student Leadership Conference, and it was a dynamic time. We had some of the most brilliant people among us. The students were absolutely engaging, as well as the dynamic panelists, speakers that would come through that conference. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dick Gregory, Yusuf Ben Yakinen, Ashra Kwesi, Professor Griff. So many people came through that dynamic conference, so we were very honored and elated. And then I sat in on a couple of your workshops. Absolutely phenomenal. So welcome back to Mind and Money Matters live show. And your daughter, who is an engineer, has been a guest.
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. So our subject matter that we've been talking about is the research team's position in the defense of ministry, the ministry of defense. So Brother Jackie just gave us an eloquent exegesis about Salahuddin, who was a mighty swordsman, and he also was mighty with the pen. So
it takes Brother Jackie to come with something like that. That brother's smooth, man. That's a wise scholar right there. And I tell you, when it comes to people like Brother Jackie and Dr. Ridgely and the other team members who are a part of the research team, and those in the ministry in the Nation of Islam, I'm telling you, we in the Nation of Islam have some of the most brilliant, some of the most dynamic paradigm shifters.
Come on now. Come on.
Can be offered.
Talk about the shifters.
Yes, that can be offered to this world.
Yes.
And, I think the Nation of Islam in many respects is like the best kept secret. So when you hear these words coming from brothers like Brother Jackie and Dr. Ridgely, man, these are some heavy hitters by far.
Now, Brother Rashad, while Brother Jahi is on mute. Can you see this? The green screen might make it. Can help us understand that now. One, I was there. I was in the audience when Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan instructed us to parse every word in the Supreme Wisdom. He did. He told all of us. But you and Brother Dimitri, y'all just stepped out. You did this. Like, really? We have a dictionary, y'all. Can you see it? Not only did they define every word, but they defined the letter of each, the 26. Brother, just help me out.
Well,
I want to know. I got two questions before Brother Jai come back on, because I couldn't answer it myself. You know, sometimes I try to talk to myself, and you know, sometimes it comes back to me. It just didn't happen. So two questions, right? One was what was the idea behind also defining each letter in the alphabet? Like, what is the meaning of A and B and C?
right.
Answer that while I go on mute for a second. But
Right. Well, as you know, as you've mentioned, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan instructed us to parse every word. And those of us in the ministry, like myself and Brother Dimitri, those of us who find it necessary to study the words of Allah, we know that in order to gain the best benefit from these magnificent teachings that we have, it is incumbent upon us to actually go deeper into the words. And the most basic part of understanding the words of God and the words of the wisdom of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is that we have to understand the meaning of words. That is the very rudimentary, very basic knowledge that we have to have, and there's no getting around it. And this came up before the last time that the minister had mentioned this to parse every word. It kind of started like this. Brother Dimitri and I, who would always collaborate and discuss the teachings and the wisdom, we have these conversations and everything. He came to me with the idea of producing somewhat of a glossary, if you will, of the lessons of the Supreme Wisdom. And as a school teacher and as an English teacher, I let him know that normally a glossary is at the end of a certain book. It serves the same function of a dictionary, but it's normally like an addendum of a certain book. So what we would probably have to do would be a separate publication altogether, and hence we have the Dictionary of the Supreme Wisdom. And this is something that even in 2018, approaching 2019, those of us as thinkers, as educators, as teachers and ministers, as students, which we all are, it is vitally necessary that we study the actual words and the meaning of words to get the best benefit from this majestic word that we have. So we didn't want to be those who just believe, you know what I mean? We have a lot of people who just believe. And when we just believe without going deeper into this wisdom, we really do ourselves a disfavor. We do ourselves a disfavor because we don't get to reap the benefits that are laced in every word and in every letter that we find in this magnificent teaching.
you know, I can feel the passion behind everything you just said. Because when I was looking at this book right here, first of all, I think all of us were floored. I have to bring it a little closer because, you know, the lights and everything is kind of glaring on it. But I think every one of us who saw this, we all heard the instruction, we got it, we received it, and we had desire. I did. I actually started parsing the words, but I didn't get past nowhere near what the two of you ended up producing, which is absolutely phenomenal. So my next question has to deal with what was the idea behind filling the silhouette of Master Father Muhammad, who is Allah in the person. What was the idea of filling this with words from the Supreme Wisdom? And does this come from any particular section? Was it just like scrambled? I tried to unscramble it. I didn't understand. So help me out.
if you recall, I don't know if you remember the very first edition of the book we published. It didn't have a silhouette of the Savior. Instead, it had the old, I think it was like the Da Vinci art of the man, outstretched, you know, showing the measurements of the human body and things like that. And it was one of the things we initially came up with, because it, in the word and in the lessons, it encompasses the sciences of all the sciences of life. And those sciences focus around the human being. But it was in some of the subsequent editions, and I think it was Brother Jesse, if I'm not mistaken, who did the graphic art that, and it may have been Brother Demetric who came up with the idea. I'm not certain, but I recall seeing it and liking it. You have the silhouette of our Savior, but in the silhouette, you find it laced, if you will, or filled with various words. And if you look, you can make out some of the words in there. And some of the words are some keywords too. This kind of jumbled up and what seems to be scrambled within the silhouette. And I think it's appropriate, even artistically, because in the picture that we do have of the Savior, he is doing what?
Reading.
He is reading, letting us know that there is power in the word. And I think I need to say that like pastor. I say it's power in the word.
you didn't take that deep breath.
Yeah. But it's very significant in that regard. And so once seeing that, it's like, okay, we're going to stick with that right there.
Yes, that was a beautiful idea.
Now, Brother Jahi, as you're about to go into your question, know that Brother Demetric is online with Dr. Ridgely.
Okay.
So we will be bringing him in via telephone.
Oh, yes.
But
Fantastic.
he can hear you.
All right, wonderful. So let's bring in the research minister. He did a dynamic job yesterday as a student minister in the city of Memphis, and his co-partner was opened up for him yesterday. And as we already noted, Brother Demetric didn't hear it, but we see your article in the issue of the Final Call newspaper that comes out bright and early in the morning. Comes out on Christmas Day. But those who have the digital subscription, you have it already. Sister Shireen showed it. But this man has been honored by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan by placing his article where the minister's article usually is. That's power right there.
Yes,
so please help us welcome again. You know, I don't know if you all remember, Brother Ilya, but you and Brother Demetric were on Mind and Money Matters show this exact same time last year, which was Christmas Day.
Wow.
December 25th last year. So welcome back to Mind and Money Matters, our brother Demetric Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sister Serene about to bring him in. She's on. She has it muted. We're gonna bring him up. Bring him up. Bring him up.
Okay, he is up. Go ahead, brother. He can hear you. Yes, sir.
We hear you now. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, dear brother.
The team is
have
here.
an opportunity to be with you again tonight.
Oh, we are honored. We know that there were some obstacles with a few of us. Sister Sandy is traveling. Dr. Ridgely is in jail. And he's hemmed up, and you are on the move as well. But we want to thank you. Now, we've had a dynamic discussion. Brother Jackie lit us up with his memorization of the piece from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Message to the Black Man on what knowledge is. Knowledge is the result of learning and is a force or energy that makes its bearer accomplish or overcome obstacles, barriers, and resistance. So that has been somewhat our theme this evening. And then your comrade, Brother Ilya, just used some words that we don't have no clue what they are. We got to look them up. We have to buy y'all book. We have to buy y'all first book. And Dr. Ridgely just went all the way in with secret relationship between blacks and Jews. So this has absolutely been a phenomenal gathering this evening. So the research minister, because this is the ministry, the month that we feature the Ministry of Defense. The question I have for you, Brother Demetric, is how do you see what you all do on the research department and what you do in your personal life? How does that tie into the aspects of the Ministry of Defense that we all can gather some strategies from?
Well, I think that the work of the research group feeds into all of the ministries as the 9 ministries idea or concept is conceived, not just the Ministry of Defense, because as Mr. Farrakhan has taught us, every civilization begins with a particular knowledge and wisdom. And that knowledge and wisdom serves as the torchlight for that entire civilization, not just one component area of that civilization. And so those of us that have been assembled by the minister to come and sit at his foot while he prepares and receives revelation from God and prepares it to deliver to the people. And we have a value-added contribution to make to every ministry. And so my encouragement is to all who labor in ministries, whether it is science and technology, agriculture, information, education, arts and culture, etc., that the ideas from which you move out into that ministry should first of all begin with the most recent of divine revelation, which is the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as they have been refined through the ministry of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So to the degree that his research team has served him in that regard and has also produced complementary works to help support and make the minister's job easier. And I think that all of the ministries should avail themselves of what has been created through this relationship between Minister Farrakhan and his research group.
Absolutely. Fantastic. You know, as you were talking about that, you hit the nail on the head of why we push this program that we have, this platform that we have. And in doing so, we want to encourage all those who are listening, whether you are a registered member of the Nation of Islam or not, you can participate in one of the 9 ministries or more. And to the point that you're making, we see that a lot of the ministries are interrelated. You know, there's a lot of we're reading out of the section dealing with education, but in it, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about defense in this. So, and there, as you mentioned, there's other aspects of it. So thank you for other aspects where the ministries are interrelated. So it's not just a cut and dry, you know, one ministry does and don't have to interact with another. No, they're all interrelated. So that's what we want to show too. We, Sister Shireen and Sister Sandy and I serve as the points of contact for the Ministry of Trade and Commerce here in Atlanta. So this is a amalgamation of the Ministry of Trade and Commerce and the Ministry of Defense. So to you, Brother Demetric, and to all of you, a question that I have is, how do you see what you're doing, serving in the ministry, in the research department, adding to the Ministry of Defense, but you all also are businessmen. You have businesses. How does that tie into what you do? Especially the defense part. How do you see the correlation?
I think that whenever you are a practical applier of any idea, as we have been taught, the ministry reminds us of this in the study guide, that practice refines the theory, and theory refines the practice. So to the degree that operating businesses gives us an opportunity to actually make the word flesh, it deepens our understanding of the principles contained in the word. You know, it's one thing to write a recipe to make a cake, but now we all know that we've ever dabbled and dabbled in the kitchen. You know, once you begin to actually make the recipe, you see other things in the process of making whatever you're making. You know, you see things that maybe you need to do. It was not necessarily specified or written down in a recipe. Or maybe you understand why a particular ingredient is included in the recipe, why you need it. So I think that it becomes important, at least from my experience, to be situated at the intersection of both theory and practice. Because when you have the task and the responsibility to teach, to train, or to educate others, it's not enough just to have had read a lot of books or consumed a lot of information. The most valuable part of any teacher or trainer is their experience, because experience oftentimes provides knowledge that is not, or at least not yet, written down anywhere. You know, this is what makes pioneers so valuable, is because they have knowledge in their heads that is not found in a book anywhere. So I think that the experience of actually trying to take what we have learned and carry it into practice actually helps to refine our ability to teach and communicate the ideas and the principles that we're tasked to do.
Got it.
Me, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught on business is warfare.
That's right.
And you cannot, and business is life itself, because that's how all your goods and services, they're there to sustain your life. And these transactions are called business. Now, in terms of defense and in terms of knowledge, if you cannot defend what you don't know, and you cannot defend against an enemy that you don't know. So if you don't know yourself and you don't know your enemy, then you cannot defend yourself against the enemy. And this is why the secret relationship between blacks and Jews is so important, because now we have discovered an enemy that we thought was our friend.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the intersection between the knowledge, business, warfare, and defense. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. My brother Jackie is back there. He's feverishly writing and taking notes. I want to know. What is your reaction to all this, brother Jackie?
Well, you know, I'm really amazed and honored to see and be a part of a program such as this. To be on with people like my three brothers, I reflect on the fact that we didn't have this type of technology when I was a young Muslim, but to see us reach out to the world and share the teachings of the messenger like this in its unvarnished form, and hopefully inspire people. I'm just really amazed and very thankful to be on this program with everybody.
All praise is due to Allah. Again, we're honored. You know, I was thinking, Brother Ilya and Brother Dimitri, in Detroit. You all may remember this. In Detroit, we were having this dynamic conversation in the vehicle. Remember? And the other brother got in the vehicle, and the first words he said was, "Wow, what's going on in here? The car is lit." Brother Jackie, he didn't hear nothing, but he picked up on it.
Yeah.
He picked up on whatever the conversation we were having prior to him getting in the vehicle. He's like, man, he had seen Brother Ilya and Brother Dimitri, but he didn't know them. But he knew something was going on in that vehicle. It was absolutely, it was for him to point that out. It was absolutely Amazing.
And that was no lightweight brother either.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't care to give his name out right now on the airways, but that was a very, very prestigious
Absolutely.
brother in the entertainment industry. And
Yes.
so look, that was something, but that just goes to show you how powerful it is when brothers and sisters, believers like us get together,
Get
as Brother
together.
Jackie was alluding to. You
Other
know,
people see things that we don't see. Yeah, yeah.
and the reason others can see what we don't see is because we've been blessed with this magnificent light.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a light, and we've had it for so long that when light gets among other light, it's very difficult to see how each other shine. However,
Right.
when we take our light that we've been given and we go into a world of darkness, we become luminaries
That's right.
unknowingly.
Real. The real Illuminati. Come on. The real Illuminati.
The righteous Illuminati.
Right,
Absolutely.
that's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Illuminati means the light. Yes,
That's right. That's
word
right.
illuminary. It means the light. So that the question that I've been contemplating how to ask it. All of you are accomplished in your fields of endeavors, each and every one of you, and you had to matriculate through this world, like all of us. But cream has risen to the top. The question I have for each one of you is, what do you see as some defining moments that help you cross that Rubicon from wavering? Well, should I let them, if they know that I'm with the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, I may not be able to do this. And I'm thinking of some of the things I know that Brother Jackie in particular has accomplished, and having come into the Nation of Islam at the age of 16 and matriculated around the world, with governmental agencies and officials, and still maintaining his loyalty to his nation. But I would like to hear from each one of you. What do you see as some defining moments in your life that help you build on that faith?
Wow.
Well, I'll say this. One of my defining moments, because there've been many, one of my defining moments when I first heard Louis X speak in the mosque in New York. I heard something that just did marvelous things for me. Okay, personally. I was able, therefore, to be so inspired by a spiritual genius that I was now able to take that, inculcate into my being, and be successful. So I never had to worry about not being a good Muslim. I just had to follow the teachings as he articulated from the messenger.
Beautiful.
Praise due to Allah. I'm kind of like Jackie in the sense that I don't know if there's any one particular thing, but I'll tell you something. And it was a series of events, most of which happened in my early stages in college, because I accepted and became registered in the teachings during my freshman year of college, fresh out of high school. And as I was studying and growing, eventually throughout my college years, I would have debates in the classrooms with my professors or with other classmates. And this is on a collegiate academic level. And just by using the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, it was so evident and clear as to see the superiority of the teachings in our programs in the academic settings. It got to the point that I started making a name for myself in college, based on these debates that I would have with these very learned and respected professors and academicians. So that right there was a real confidence booster. And it let me know at a very early stage that this is right and exact.
Wonderful.
Brother
Brother Dimitri.
Dimitri, Dr. Ridgely?
Well, Brother Dimitri, you want to go first, or
You can go first, Doc.
okay? Well, the most defining moment for me was in 1967, January of 1967, in Phillips Exeter Academy, and my brother sent me a copy of the autobiography of Malcolm X. And when I read in that book that the white man is the devil.
Why does that not surprise me?
You was like, you threw your hands up and said, that explains it all. I get it. I so get it now.
Not only did I throw my hands up in the air, that morning I went downstairs in the lunchroom with all them crackers and said, I know who you are. You are the devil. And I will not work for you or your daddy.
You or your daddy. You or your daddy.
The Nation of Islam on Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah.
All praise is due to Allah.
And a completely transforming moment in my life. Now the other one was when after the nation failed, and I was completely confused by War of Dean. And when Minister Farrakhan stood back up, and then they resurrected Malcolm X, that Malcolm X movie, that's when I decided to join back into the nation, because the nation was destroyed by Wallace D. It was gone. Mr. Farrakhan started it back. And I wasn't going to even listen to Mr. Farrakhan because I joined under Mr. Farrakhan's voice in New York City. So I didn't want his voice to capture me. So I wouldn't listen to him. I would read the paper, but I wouldn't listen to him. Okay? But when they brought that movie out, and I knew there's a resurrected Malcolm to stop the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that's when I said, I am back.
I am back. All praise is due to Allah.
And there's been no stopping them either.
Right. Yes, sir.
Right.
None
And,
stopping.
Brother Demetrius.
I think I would agree that the joining of the nation, at a young age is probably the most defining moment for my life. Like Brother Jackie, I joined as a teenager. And so, when you're young, you get an opportunity to, see which direction you want your life to go into. And so at that age, I decided that I wanted to be a part of the nation. And, I have been ever since. And so, I have more years in now than I had inside. I have more years inside the nation than I did not inside the nation. And so I can bear witness that the teachings work. I can bear witness that the message of Minister Farrakhan is true. And so when you have the experience, it's a lot easier to be committed because God has a way of allowing us to begin our journey as believers. But through our experience as believers, we become convicted and we become knowers. And so once God makes himself known to a believing man or woman in their own personal journey, in their own personal life, it's very difficult after that point to get such a person to back away from what they have come not only to believe but to know. And so we just pray that Allah will bless us to continue along the path that we are on, and we pray that Allah will bless us to continue to be of service to our people by serving the leader of our people, the one that God has anointed to deliver our people in this hour, a very critical hour.
Wonderful. A closing question that I have for each one of you is, actually, it's a two-parter. Number one, what are 2 or 3 action steps that you would give to those that are listening to take in order to elevate us from whatever stage we are in now to the next level that we say we want to go to? what would be your 2 or 3 action steps? And that's from each one of you. And we like to be mindful on this show, and I think all of you may be like this, and Sister Shireen in particular, among us is the one that goes after this. Our youth are always in mind. So you got the young brother, the young sister, may or may not be a registered member of the Nation of Islam, but they have this internal burning to do something. So what are 1 or 2 or 3 step action that you would give them to start taking to go from that dormant stage or where they are now to the next level? And when you answer that as well for each one of you, whatever you have coming up, please let us know, let the audience know what you got coming up, where they can go to connect with you, because I know Brother Ilya and Brother Dimitri and Dr. Ridgely are on tour. They got trucks and will travel. They go everywhere. So please let us know how to get in contact with you and where you're going to be next, so that the people can come out and see you. Brother Jackie takes his private plane. I don't think he.
Brother Jackie takes the wheel.
Right.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
let me start off by saying this. I would encourage everyone to start studying. Okay, start studying the teachings. Now, we mentioned some books at the outset. I would recommend, even though he didn't mention it, brother Ilya's book on the UFOs. I would mention The Secret Relationship, Volume 3. And the reason why I would mention that is because some of us believe that these teachings are not studied by the white man. That's not true. Secret Relationship Volume 3 has been turned into an audio book by white people for them to study what we have written in that book. I would ask them to look very closely at the article Brother Dimitri has in the current edition of The Final Call, in which he took the middle page that is normally set aside for the minister, and the minister allowed him to put his article because it was so significant. And then, as Brother Ridgely said, he's written like 4 or 5 books. We have to start disciplining our minds around these teachings. And most of all, we've got to get into the speeches of the minister and constantly feed our spirit. That is what's going to fortify us against what is coming down right now.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Awesome.
praise to contact you, Brother Jackie. How can the listeners
to contact me? My email address is jacrb519@aol.com.
You know what, brothers, Brother Jahi and Sister Shireen, I would offer pretty much what Brother Jackie said, almost verbatim. I would recommend to anyone to listen to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to study this word, not on a surface, shallow level, but to go deep and parse this magnificent word so that we may benefit. But it doesn't stop there. While listening and studying, we also practice. We practice this wisdom that God is blessing us with. And the more we actually practice and step out on this divine word, we will be shown the power and the hand of God in these affairs. So
yes, sir.
I would concur wholeheartedly with what Brother Jackie just mentioned. Of course, with me and what I'm doing, I can be reached via our website, Nation Brothers. We have a Nation Brothers Facebook page, and we can go to nationbrothers.com. Many of our resources are there. Some of our blogs and articles and even some of our videos are there. And I would ditto what the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said and mentioned regarding NFA Studios. this is the future of where we're going. We have our own Netflix.
That's right.
We're not going to Netflix and chill. We're going to NFA and build.
Come on now. he's a rapper too, y'all.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, let's keep that in mind, fam.
Absolutely. Brother Dr. Ridgely or
Dr. Ridgely or
Brother
Demetri?
Demetri? Dr. Ridgely?
Okay. Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to us that the secret relationship between the Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, is a companion to Message to the Black Man. Now, I had to write that word down, companion, and look it up because that's a strong word.
That's right.
You know, I have a companion. I'm married to her. That sounds like marriage. And in marriage, you marry because you want to help me. So therefore, the secret relationship between Blacks and Jews is a helpmeet to Message to the Black Man. So for every young person, I would say, first of all, get your Message to the Black Man.
That's right.
Study the secret relationship between Blacks and Jews and see how it complements and is companion to Message to Black Man, because it bears witness to the truth of Message to Black Man about our history and the history of our enemies. And lastly, secondly, join a ministry. Look at the different ministries. These ministries cover the whole gamut of a nation. Find you a place in those ministries.
Yes.
And along with that, while you're going to school, or even you got out of school, I like to ask young people when they come and pick me up at the airport in Chicago, I said, what are you going to do when we win? You're not going to be a paper salesman.
That's right.
When we win. Are you going to fly a plane? Are you going to grow some food? Are you going to drive a train? Are you going to build a car? I said, you got to start now and prepare yourself for the future. The God of the future. Start thinking in terms of what it is, the contribution that you want to give to your nation after we remove the impediment from our people. That's all I'm going to do.
What likum salam. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. And how can people reach you, Dr. Ridgely?
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's in Facebook jail. They got to come visit. Put something on his books.
Usually look me, M-U-M-I-N, in Facebook jail. Come to NOI, M-O-A. That's Nation of Islam Ministry of Agriculture, NOIMOA.com. Find out what we're doing in the Ministry of Agriculture. And then go to MuhammadFarms.com. MuhammadFarms.com to see what we're doing down here, your 1,600 acres in southwest Georgia, which is 2.5 miles south of Atlanta. So when people, they said, Dr. Ritchie, how's Atlanta? I said, I don't know. I'm 2.5, 3 hours from Atlanta. I don't know what's going on in Atlanta. I live on a farm. So MuhammadFarms.com to see what we do. Thank you.
And Doc, how many acres is it actually?
It's
actual facts.
1,556.
That's what I said. All right. I thought I said that right. Okay, fantastic.
Let's be very careful. Before we got this land back, this portion of the 4,000 acres, we only got about 4,000 acres of the 4,500 acres. We only got 1,600 acres back. Before the man sold it to us, he cut off about 40 acres and sold it to somebody else. That's why it's not 1,600 acres. That's why it's 1,556. That's what they did before we bought the land. Now this farm is worth over $3.9 million.
Oh, praise it.
It is now worth over $3.9 million. That is your land, your farm, my people.
Wa alaikum salam.
Oh, praise
Okay,
it.
Brother Demetri.
Well, I would just encourage everyone to join the campaign to defend the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a campaign that right now has a central theme of a showdown between the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his critics, who are the enemies of Black America. so my exhortation to all of those who are listening is to become a part of the campaign. Subscribe to the Nation of Islam Research Group website. Subscribe to researchminister.com website, where we are publishing daily talking points, articles, information. Subscribe to the nationbrothers.com site. Subscribe to the Ministry of Agriculture site, and begin to help us to disseminate information that is designed to defend and vindicate the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we want to proliferate the airwaves with the truth as the counter narrative to that which is often circulated surrounding our beloved minister, that he is all of these negative things that those of us on this call and many others know that he is not. And so we encourage, again, to become a part of the campaign. And I think Brother Jackie said it. You can't effectively do that unless you begin to read and to study and to become educated about what this campaign is all about. It's not just about Minister Farrakhan's preoccupation with the Jewish people. It has nothing to do with that at all. But it has everything to do with clearing and removing all obstacles for Black liberation and progress. And every time strong Black leadership emerges from among our people that has a definite plan that involves not only protests and public demonstrations and electoral politics, but includes the very powerful components of economic development, spiritual renewal, moral character, and an independent land, then we see members of the Jewish community attack that leadership. And I think that Black people must become like white people. I was listening to Tennessee Representative Bob Corker, and he said a few days ago that he was getting out of politics because when he traveled the country, the people weren't interested in any of the issues. They only wanted to know whether or not you were with Trump or not. So the white electorate, for good or for bad, are 10 toes down, ride or die with their man, President Trump. I think that after 60 years of tested, true, strong, mighty, and consistent leadership from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Black America needs to be 10 toes down, ride or die with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Pardon me?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That was me trying to get the link to the show. Get the link to the showdown, so I can put it into.
So that was,
Facebook.
I'll just wrap it up by saying, go to the website researchminister.com and make sure you avail yourself of the materials that we have and that we're putting out each day. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Brother Dimitri, and thank you for that. And can they also get a hold of you on that site so they can book you to come into the mosque or church or synagogue or whatever they're going to bring you into?
Sure. You can connect with us. You can connect with us on researchminister.com. We're also on Facebook at Dimitri Muhammad, on Instagram at Brother Dimitri, and also on Twitter at Brother Dimitri. So we're in the major social media platforms, and so we would definitely love to come wherever we can have an enthusiastic audience to share this information to defend our minister and to defend our people.
Oh, praises to Salam. You are, please forgive me. Thank you, Brother Dimitri, for bringing it up. I was thinking, how could I ever forget? November the 16th, 2018, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke live from Mosque Mariam. And that showdown that you're talking about, I saw each and every one of y'all in the audience, front two rows. I think Brother Dimitri, Brother Dr. Ridgely, and Brother Ilya were on row 2, and Dimitri and Jackie were on row 3, front and center. So I just want to ask you, what has been the feedback? Because I know like Brother Jackie been poking them, Brother Ilya been poking them, and we know Dr. Ridgely been throwing jabs, and Brother Dimitri is doing the uppercut. What has been the feedback from the challenge that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan put out against Satan? What has been the response?
Well, one of them already punked out. Brother Jackie is in beat up on that board, Dirty Witch. Dirty Witch.
Jackie has no mercy on him.
He ain't showing no mercy on Dirty Witch. And Dirty Witch already done bowed out. Okay? Dirty Witch bowed out. Now I just want to say this. If you all would just listen to the 4 of us present information to you, then I want you to think about, because we're going to ask the question, when these people lie on the minister, on major TV and major media, how come we don't give a rebuttal? Well, guess what? They will not call us on there. We can only come on shows like Brother Jahid's show. We can only come to places where you bring us to.
Right.
We can only get you on Facebook, and they shut us down in Facebook. You know they shut down Brother Ben X off of YouTube. Okay? He has over 140,000 members, and they shut him down, cut him off, took it off completely.
Well, when he's back up, and so as believers and supporters, we need to go on his site and resubscribe and repost and share so that he can help him build his page back up. So I was just talking about that today. So I'm glad you mentioned Brother Ben X, and we have to support each other in these efforts, because I mean, it's no surprise that they do what they do. The bottom line is they will spend every dime, penny, nickel to make sure that they have the buffers around them who are us. So we have to do our part.
We would be glad to take on CNN, on MSNBC, on Fox.
That's right.
We'd be glad to take them on, but they're not going to bring us on because they know we can win. So it's up to you people out there to pester them.
That's right. Well, they know who they are. It's not about telling them who they are. It's about telling us who they are.
Like Dirty Witch is always on the TV. Why don't he confront Jackie? Why don't he confront Jackie in the public on CNN or Fox News or CSNBC? Come on now. If you don't push him, audience, they won't do it. Push him, audience. Make them bring Jackie in to talk to Dirty Witch.
Walaikum salam.
All right. Well, thank you.
I hope we got that point. Let's go to Ben X page and help him get his subscription back up. He's only like at about 1,300, 1,400 right now. Views down to like 300 or something. So we have to make sure we help to spread, because he does have a reach to the ears of our young people who need to be in tune with these teachings. They won't otherwise get it. They don't want to listen to me. I'm grandma, so they're not really interested in the grandmother right now.
All right.
It's okay. Right. Brother Ben X is young enough to get to him, and he's willing to do so. All praise.
All right. We're about to close, and we know some of y'all have toys to go and deliver, playing Santa Claus tonight. You're properly relieved.
Thank you, brother.
He shot all his reindeer so he eat his watermelon, he said.
It's been a blessing, though. It's been a true blessing, man. And thank you all.
Thank you.
As always, I'm looking forward to doing this again. So, of course, I'm going all the way. And may Allah bless you all. Let me go deliver these toys. No. Let me go deliver this truth.
Well, we do have to love on our children. Let them know where it all comes from. I grew up in the Nation of Islam. It's very important for our children not to be forgotten. It's very important to ensure them that yes, it is okay to have fun, have a good time. They don't need a Santa Claus to do so. We can provide them with the things that, the messenger teaches us to buy the best that we can afford. So that's what we do. We don't shy away from that. We just don't do it in the name of Santa Claus or Xmas or any other
I know Brother Ilya has to go.
image to give our children the lie
Thank you, sir.
who is really ensure that they are safe and secure. So
bring me an A and I get you a bicycle.
Come on now. That's right.
And I get you a bicycle.
That's right.
Bring me a B, I'll buy you some shoes. Bring me a C, I'll see you later.
Exactly. I'm a firm believer in giving plenty so you can take plenty away when things are not in compliance, and to ensure that our children do what is necessary to take this thing to the next level. They do have next, and inshallah we are handing over to them something that they can carry on to the next level. I think this show is absolutely powerful. I actually wanted to answer one of the questions that Brother Jahi said. What was that pivotal moment, that said to me, because being born and raised in a nation doesn't mean that you submit automatically. But as a little girl, I love, I saw a young sister this past Saturday in class crying, but she wanted to stay in class. She wanted her mother to stay in class. That was me. I loved coming to the mosque. I loved coming to class. I was so brokenhearted when the nation fell in 75. So I'm ecstatic that it's here, and that's what gives me my power. But in order for me to stand on my own, as every tub must stand on its own bottom, I had to recognize what was keeping me away. I went through the adolescent woes of not wanting to be involved, being confused, during the split, and is it Wallace? Is it the minister? I don't know. And I just left it alone. It was like for those of us who were involved in that. For me, it was like having to make a decision between two divorced parents, and you love them both. Because I grew up with both of them being prominent figures in my life. So it was hard to make that decision, and I had to go to Allah. And this is what helped me to build my personal relationship with Rabb el Alamin, is to talk to him directly and ask him questions. I even talked to the messenger directly. I didn't understand. I had locks. I don't understand why I can't wear them. Then the messenger came to me in a dream telling me that I came here to free you. Master Fard Muhammad came to free you. And why would you have your dead hair growing around your living hair, wrapping it up and putting it into bondage? As soon as I heard that I got up and I cut my hair off and went back to being just natural. And, so just things like that, having to come to grips with, covering up. That was the last onion peeling it was like peeling away an onion. That was the last thing I had to peel away, was covering up as a sister. Because when you're out there in the world and you're getting attention from the world, you also have to deal with the fact that, I don't want people looking at me and saying, I grew up when boys sat in trees and threw rocks at me, spit on me and things like that. I fought a lot growing up, defending being a Muhammad. All of these things, so there was something that I was battling inside myself, and I had to come to understand, am I going to try to please Allah or please the devil? The devil wanted me in mini skirts. The devil wanted me to show my behind, but Allah wanted to cover me up and to show forth my mind. And so when I came to that realization, it was very easy. I packed all my little Savage clothes and put them by the door. I actually let them sit there for 6 months. I said, I'm testing myself. If I can sit them there for 6 months and I won't touch them, I'm not turning back. And I did that. And all praise is due to Allah. I have not turned back by the grace of Allah. And I pray Allah, I never will. I pray that He protects me and keeps me covered in my mind so that I will not feel ever that I need to be that other sister. So if you are still there, all praises due to Allah, just keep on praying. Allah will guide you to understand why it is the most beautiful thing. When I put this headpiece back on, I was so excited. You know, I felt so beautiful, and I have not taken it off. I wear it wherever I go by Allah's grace and permission, because it shows forth that I am no longer belonging to the world. May Allah continue to bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Master the Science of Business, Mind and Money Matters live show. I pray that you are inspired. I pray that you are willing to now go and study. Let's get this book back open up, y'all. Let's read it. This is not something that you read once, twice, or 3 times. This is like your Bible. You read it all the time. And I'm hearing this for the first time, that this is the companion to that book. So get this, but I have been reading it, and it is absolutely powerful, and it'll help you to see why things are the way they are and what steps that we must take, given what Allah has given you, to take it to the next level. Thank you for joining me in my classroom. I'm certainly inspired. I thank the brothers who came on. You know, brother Jackie, he gave me the definition out of this book right here on page 41. It was actually this one. Brother Jackie, he wasn't sure, but he recited it, y'all. He knows the definition. And so I pulled it out. But also, where's the other book? Oh, right here. This is where he thought it was, but it's not quite in this one. It's in this one, but there's some powerful things in here too. So make sure you get them and you start to read them, and just take one bite at a time. Don't be overwhelmed. I know we mentioned a whole lot of things. One step at a time. One step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Brother Jahi. Okay, Brother Jahi, I think he has left us. So may Allah bless us. Thank you so much to Dr. Ridgely. I got to bring his picture up. Dr. Ridgely, thank you so much for coming on. And also, Brother Dimitri, thank you for coming on. You know, we met and overcame all obstacles. And Brother Jackie, whew, I am elated. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.